My dear brothers and sisters, today we are celebrating the memorial of Saint Francis Xavier. Saint Francis Xavier came from a wealthy family, and he had this career in academics when he was a professor in a university in Paris, and there he met, well, not just during his time as a student, one of his roommates, there were three in the room, and one of his roommates was Ignatius of Loyola. And when he finished his master's degree in philosophy, he taught in that university, and he was persuaded by Ignatius of Loyola to join him in the missions. And so Saint Francis Xavier joined Ignatius and became part of the Jesuits. So Ignatius or Saint Francis Xavier went to many places, and there was around 38,000 kilometers that he traveled just to preach the good news and to serve as a missionary. He was sent by St. Ignatius of Loyola as a replacement for one of the pioneers of the Jesuit community who got ill at the time. So it was St. Francis Xavier who replaced him. But St. Francis Xavier exhibited this passion for the mission, that he was able to evangelize a lot of groups of people from different places. And his last leg of his mission was China. He wanted to go to China to serve as a missionary there for the evangelization of the peoples of China. But then on the way to China, he got ill, and those who were with him in the boat, they just they preferred to take him out of the boat and then place him on the outskirts of the mainland China. So it was like the experience of Moses, that Moses saw the promised land, but he was never able to go to the promised land. Saint Francis Xavier also saw China, but he was not able to go to China to evangelize China. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, if we take a closer look at the life of Saint Francis Xavier, it's a life of mission. It's a life of living out the gospel and preaching the gospel, just like what Saint Francis of Assisi said: preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. For Saint Francis Xavier, he did it also. He did not only use words, but he lived out the gospel with his life. And it was only he only engaged into preaching if he needs to explain the faith. But with his life is enough to explain the faith to the people. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, in the gospel today, the gospel speaks about the multiplication of the loaves, and this particular gospel of Saint Matthew is actually for the Gentiles, this particular pericope. Why? Because it says here about the seven baskets full, while in another account of the multiplication of the loaves, it says that there were 12 baskets full, 12 referring to the 12 tribes of Israel, which means that that particular story was being referred to the people of Israel. But then these 7, what's the significance of the number 7? The number 7 in the biblical language, it speaks about completion. It speaks about abundance. It speaks about perfection. And so, with the lack, the condition in the encounter of people with Jesus in that particular mountain, where they were listening to Jesus and they were being healed by Jesus, then there was this lack of food. But then it says here that the disciples said there were only 7 loaves and fish. So number 7, if it is a number of perfection or abundance, it would mean there is abundance of everything. And after eating, there was this 7 basket full still. And therefore, even if those loaves and fish were already consumed, there were still 7 baskets full. And so, there is an abundance of everything. So, the Lord is telling us to have that mindset of abundance, not a mindset of scarcity, a mindset of abundance that with the Lord, there is an abundance of everything. And as Christians, we profess to follow Christ, and to follow Christ is to preach the gospel at all times. And not only by words, but most especially by our lives. We are missionaries, and we have to live out our being missionaries at all times, like Saint Francis Xavier.